Morning guys, how's it going? Matt here, talking to you from quarantine in China. For those of you that are watching for the first time, I've lived in China for 10 years. Left China on February 1st as the virus was sort of going nuts here in China. I went to Chicago, did a 14-day quarantine, then stayed with my family in Detroit. I saw warning signs that the United States was going to have a really rough go of it, and it was before flights really started getting restricted, and China was still open to accepting people back. And my family is Chinese, my wife is Chinese and daughter, and we made a decision to come back to China. So this is my second quarantine. I'm in China quarantining in a hotel in Ningbo, south of Shanghai, and I am 3 days away from finishing my quarantine, so that's good. I've been doing sort of daily quarantine updates. Oh, it's time to wake up. I've been up since 4:30 in the morning. Can't seem to get my schedule straight. I'm constantly looking at my phone and seeing updates from the world as everybody tries to deal with this in their own way. I came back to China because I thought China had a pretty good handle on it, and they have dealt with the original explosion of this virus, and so this is a safe place, especially the city I'm in Ningbo. A lot of stringent regulations, monitoring of movement, and things that I think are necessary in a situation such as this to keep such a pandemic under as much control as possible. So I'm just kind of sharing my quarantine story with everybody, and today's update is going to be a little bit of a precursor to a live stream that's coming up in a few hours, actually. It's 7 o'clock. I'll upload this right away. I'm not even going to edit it. I'm just going to throw it up real quick because I have another video coming up at 9 o'clock. This video is a sort of a discussion that's going to be between me and 3 other expats, people who have lived outside their home country for some time. And yeah, should be interesting. I was invited because normally they do these 4-person discussions, and the 4th person couldn't do it, so they reached out to me and said, "Hey Matt, would you like to be part of our weekly or bi-weekly," I'm not sure how often they do it, discussion? It should be interesting. So when that live stream comes up, I'd appreciate it if you'd like to be part of it, to join in. If you want to have questions answered or be part of the discussion, I think you can put a super chat in, and that puts you to the top of the list of the discussion, and you can talk to all of us. The group is an interesting collection of characters, some who have differing opinions and interesting opinions, and a lot of interesting personalities. So it should be an interesting conversation, and I look forward to it. Last night was difficult. I am having a tough time wrapping my head around the situation in America. I feel worry and concern for my family. While I sit here in quarantine, safe, looking out into the city of Ningbo, which I've spent such a large portion of my life, I feel like I'm not sure how this is going to progress outside of here. I don't know. Quarantine days are sort of blending together. I pretty much live in that bed over there, editing videos. On a interesting note, I'm also cycling around the world. If you guys are just here for my quarantine videos, I actually have a travel story where I'm cycling around the world on a 3-wheeled recumbent trike from China to the United States. And I'm taking the time here, stuck, to catch up on video projects that I normally don't have time to work on, because I'm sort of on a trike riding around from A to B and then A to B and then A to B and then A to B, slowly moving my way around. I had been doing videos which were these huge collections of all the drone footage I shot while I cycled through a country. I did Japan, and I did the island of Taiwan, and they were really, really great videos, actually. And just a long, relaxing video of me cycling through some very, very beautiful places. The videos themselves follow the story from the place I begin riding to when I leave. So the Japan video follows, I'll link to the Japan video. The Japan video follows me from Osaka all the way up to Wakkanai, and from Wakkanai all the way to Okinawa, 4,000 kilometers. I am in the midst of working on the Korea one, so in a few days you'll see my Korea journey posted on my YouTube channel, which I think is very cool. These are very long, very relaxing, and maybe not the punchy 1-minute viral video that you'd be used to, but nonetheless they're something I've grown to enjoy making when I have time. So I've been stuck here, and my friend Augustus, who is a really good friend of mine, I've met along my journeys. He helped assemble this project, so look for that in a couple of days. But this video is really just a precursor to the live stream that's coming up, where I will be in a conversation with some other expats discussing some interesting topics. The Chinese government restricted flights into China by all non-Chinese nationals just recently. So if I wanted to leave, if I stayed in America any longer, like today, there'd be no way that I could get me and my family to China if we wanted to do that. I think China is making this decision based on the fact that a lot of external cases of COVID-19 are coming into the country. Many of those cases are from Chinese nationals that are actually bringing it back from outside of China into China. I think a country has a really tough time, especially a country like China, to say we're going to block even our own people from coming into China. So they said, well, at least we can block all the foreigners from coming in. And, you know, like me, I'm in quarantine right now. When I came into China, you can see the video of me coming into China. When I did, they had to register me. They had people in hazmat suits that were taking care of me. They had a bus that was chartered to take me to different checkpoints, and then they were sorting us into different places where we were hopefully getting to where we needed to be. Then we got to this hotel where the hotel I'm in is leased by the Chinese government, so that they can kind of put us in a singular room and check us every single day for temperature and test us for COVID-19, and in 14 days we're free to go. But if you think about all of the infrastructure involved in processing people that are coming in from the outside, I think it makes sense that they blocked all travel, or at least all travel from foreigners, the one that they actually could do. If they blocked all travel completely from even Chinese people, I think that would be, obviously that would be maybe the best solution in order to contain the problem, but it would also be diplomatically difficult to restrict your own countrymen from coming back home. So they did, I think, what the thing that they could do was at least block the people who are foreigners. I heard some people saying that it was a sort of a bigotry move. It was a move that was should be looked down upon, but I think every country is trying to handle this in their own way. I'm pretty happy with the way China has handled it. So in this zone right now, let's not talk about the beginning phases. It was a mess in the beginning. I think we can all agree. There were some missteps in the very beginning of this process, but I'm looking at the situation as it is today, and I can see that even me coming, even a traveler from the outside coming here, it used to be the government would pay for this quarantine period, but then they changed those rules. I have to pay for the quarantine period. I have to pay for my hotel stay. And it used to, you know, it's an evolving circumstance. And so if you look at the evolving factors, they're like, okay, we'll let everybody come in, but they have to go through 14-day quarantine, everybody. And think about the amount of travel that comes into China. That's a huge number. So all these people are coming in and they're trying to handle the influx of all of these people that are coming in, foreigners and Chinese nationals. And they're like, we'll put them up in hotels, we'll do 14-day quarantines, we'll have staff in hazmat suits that'll be checking their temperature and checking their care all the time. If they do get sick, we'll take them to the hospital, we'll get them care, and then, you know, all of this rigmarole. And then they realized that more and more people were coming, so they're like, well, let's start charging people for the hotel stay, because this is like a cost that is being put upon us by people who feel like they can just come back to China and be safe, and here we're trying to make you safe, and it's taxing our system. So they said, okay, we'll start charging people for the hotel stay, which I understood that. And they even separated, like me and my wife and my child are in another room, and they separated us when we got to the hotel, and they put me in one room, them in another room, so that they can isolate us and make sure that I'm okay, and she's okay, and my daughter's okay. And then at the end of this 14 days, we can go our ways with 100% confidence that we don't have COVID-19 when we leave. So I understand that. And I'm guessing that the influx of people coming back into the country got a little bit hard to manage. This is my guess. And so they said, we need to at least cut the element that we can diplomatically, which is the foreigners, and only allow the people who are Chinese nationals to come in. And so that rule has taken place very, very recently. In fact, it's kind of new news. This is happening while the United States' curve is going exponential. The United States has risen above other countries who have similar advanced societies, like South Korea, who have been able to stem the tide of this through aggressive testing, aggressive preparation for the potential of what this could be, because they saw the writing on the wall when the original outbreak happened in Wuhan. And so they have put in place a lot of stringent regulations to try to control the stem of this tide. Seems like America is, I don't like to, I'm not trying to rag on America, but I am very nervous because I feel like people are ill-prepared and it's going to cost lives. So there's a lot of opinions on that. Maybe in my live stream later you'll see more on that, but I wanted to issue an update. Live stream is coming up, so I hope you join that. It'll be an interesting conversation. The group of people is very eclectic. You have a gentleman named Daniel Dumbrell, who is from Shenzhen, who is a pretty intellectual guy. He's got a pretty good head on his shoulders. He has some views I don't 100% agree with, but it's important that we talk to people that we don't 100% agree with so that we can find a middle ground. I think the whole world here feels like, a lot of people out there think the world is black and white, and there is a real gray area that we need to find as a species, and understand that we're all in this together, and there's different tacks, there's different opinions, there's different wrongs, and there's different rights too. So anyways, Daniel is a really smart intellectual guy from Shenzhen who does his homework, and I've found a pleasure talking to him about a number of issues. There's the antithesis to that, which is Guelo 60, who's a Canadian-born, very loud sort of, well, he's, you know, Canadian loud, so it's interesting. And he's had some divisive comments and videos, and some fairly ambiguous videos, and I found that he's a fairly humorous fella, and we'll be talking to him. And then there's a guy named Alex who's living in Bangkok right now. He's from Canada as well, and Alex is a pretty solid traveling vlogger. He's got a lot of videos to his credit, and I've talked to him as well. And man, oh man, they have this live stream thing very organized and well. It made me feel like I'm an amateur with the way that they're preparing this live stream. So hopefully my bandwidth will support it, because this is a pre-recorded video. You'll see great quality, but in that video you'll see very fuzzy, because I'll be streaming and having a conversation live with all of these people. So hopefully my connection stays with it. Hopefully some interesting points come out of it. Hopefully we have an interesting conversation that'll make you laugh and maybe get a little angry, maybe learn some things, but we'll all come out of it better in the end. Jayoe, hope you like it, and I'll talk to you in the live stream. Bye.